Are you thinking about investing in an accessory dwelling unit or ADU in Sanford, Maine? Did you know that most towns and cities in Maine have additional restrictions around having an ADU in their community? In this video, we're going to talk about Sanford's ADU rules that we must adhere to in order to have an ADU in their community. Let's get after it. First of all, you need to read the accessory dwelling unit rules that are specific to the city of Sanford. You can get this information by contacting the City of Sanford Code Enforcement Office or by emailing us. The very first thing you need to do before getting too excited about investing in an ADU is make sure that the single-family residence you are working with is in a zone that allows for ADUs. Not all single-family residences can have an ADU added to them. So find the zoning map for Sanford and verify that the residence is in an allowable zone. Oh, and if you're new to this channel, my name is Michael Patterson. My partner and daughter is Margaret. We are local ADU dealers here in Southern Maine and can provide you with designs and prices that will help you start planning your ADU investment. If you have questions about ADUs in a specific town, we can help with that as well. Our contact information is down below. Okay, when submitting a permit application for an ADU in Sanford, you need to be aware of a few rules in the Sanford Code. ADUs shall be allowed in any zone which allows residential uses. The creation of an ADU within a pre-existing non-conforming structure is permitted, provided that it doesn't increase the non-conformity of the structure. In other words, if you're already beyond what the normal setback is, you can't do more of that with an ADU. Keep in mind, the Code Enforcement Office may elevate review of an ADU application based on the size or complexity of the project. So try to keep it simple and within the boundaries of the rules. If the property is in what's called the growth zone of the city's comprehensive plan, then 2 ADUs can be placed on a parcel, but one of the ADUs must be attached to the primary dwelling. And if you're using a breezeway to get to the ADU from the primary dwelling, it can't be more than 20 feet. And the ADU cannot occupy more than 40% of the living area of the principal dwelling structure, or 1,000 square feet, whichever is greater. The ADU cannot have more than 3 bedrooms. Off-street parking is not required, and if you want more parking, then you want to make sure you tell the code enforcement officer about that. And keep in mind that the owner of the property must live in the principal dwelling unit, and that's very important. The code enforcement officer may require additional landscaping or buffering to preserve privacy of abutting residential properties. Oh, and keep in mind that these rules can change, which means this video could be out of date. So always check with the City of Sanford or us before moving ahead with your ADU plans. Besides, it's very important that you share your ADU plans with the Sanford Code Enforcement Office before you start spending money on the site work. You absolutely have to have a permit to set up an ADU in Sanford, and if you're not familiar with the process in Sanford, as I said earlier, we can help you with that. If you plan to tie your ADU's wastewater into your existing septic system, you may need a DEP permit. Make sure you know the size of your septic tank because it may not be large enough for additional bedrooms. And if it isn't big enough, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have an ADU, but it does mean additional work and possibly more money to make the project happen. So if you are setting up your ADU all by yourself, and you don't have municipal sewer services, make sure you ask about getting the septic system approved. Guys, if you're finding this video informative, please give it a like. I know it's small, but it really helps us a lot. Thanks. Once you have secured that you will be able to make your ADU comply with all state laws and the City of Sanford requirements, it's time to select an ADU. This also requires some homework. For those of you that are thinking you'll use an RV as an ADU, well, you might be able to if the RV complies with first, LD 1981, the American National Standards Institute, ANSI, Standard A119.5 on plumbing, propane, fire, and life safety and construction, or the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA standard 1192 on plumbing, propane, and fire and life safety for recreational vehicles. Second, the unit cannot exceed 400 square feet in size. Third, it doesn't exceed any dimension allowed for operation on a public way under this title. And fourth, is the vehicle without motive power? Remember, RVs are meant to be towed down the road. To find out if your RV is in compliance, look for a sticker on the RV like this. And you'll notice right there it says A119.5. And if you don't find this on the RV, try reaching out to the manufacturer. I want to take a moment and let you know that if you would like to learn more about ADUs in the different towns in southern Maine, click subscribe and tap the bell so that you'll be the first to know when we post another video. So you primarily have three options for an ADU on your property. First, you can stick build the ADU, which means you hire a contractor who buys the lumber, the windows, the siding, etc., and builds the ADU from a set of plans. And this is a really good option if you can't find the floor plan and roof design and you want something custom that you can't find on the market. The second option is going with a modular ADU that is delivered to your property. Modular units are essentially stick-built, but with some customization option. It still needs a foundation, which is a considerable expense. The third option, which is my favorite, is a tiny home ADU that is ANSI or NFPA compliant, and it's on wheels. And these are also stick-built. The reason why I like tiny homes on wheels is because they can be moved should you choose to get rid of your tiny home at some point or take it to another property. In other words, you can sell it and have it towed away. Having the ADU towed away, if it is stick-built or modular, is generally cost prohibitive. If you want to consider an ADU that is delivered on wheels, Margaret and I can provide you with lots of tastefully designed tiny homes and modular ADUs. Also, if you have questions that I'm not covering about ADUs in Maine, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or our favorite, set up a Zoom. We'll do our best to answer your questions or investigate it for you. Okay, I want to bust some myths about ADU ownership. First is that they will increase your property value. The truth is that sometimes they can increase your property value considerably, but not always. Adding more livable space on your property is usually great for property values. But if the ADU isn't added properly, it could be an eyesore in the neighborhood. This is another reason to invest in an ADU that looks classy, but can easily be towed away. Second, you can buy a property, add an ADU, and rent out both. If you are adding an ADU to increase the rental value of your property, keep in mind that many towns, including Sanford, require that you personally live in the primary dwelling unit. Third, you can buy any single-family residence and put an ADU next to it. Remember, guys, ADUs are not allowed in all zones. We have to check with the municipality first and then make sure it will fit on the property. Margaret and I can handle that for you. Fourth, you can only add one ADU to your property. The truth is that some towns allow for an ADU attached to the property, as well as the one that's independently on the property. But remember, rules are often specific to the town. And fifth, you can make a mobile home an ADU. And of course, at this point, you should know the answer to this, which is maybe. Before you get too excited about something you saw on Facebook, get the square footage of the unit, find out the number of rooms in the camper, and depending on the town, the ADU may or may not be able to exceed a certain percentage of the primary residence. And make sure you get pictures of all the stickers on the RV as well. Okay, I hope I have answered some of your questions. And if not, remember, our contact information is down below. And if you want to learn more about living in southern Maine, watch this next video.